Folks, it's a beautiful day. Let's go for a walk. I want to talk to you guys about something that I've dealt with before and need to deal with again. Got this beautiful looking lawn, but man, when you get close, you start to see things like this. So what we have is a tree that is rooted way over there, and it emerges on the top of the lawn and sort of porpoises across at different points. Really common. Most trees have very shallow root systems that spread out from the base. So the question always becomes, well, can I get rid of those roots? It depends on who you ask what the answer is. I think the answer is yes. I've done it before. Trees have survived. But I want to talk to you guys about some tips and tools that we'll be using here as we approach these roots. And why don't we start off with tips? Let's get into it. So generally speaking, there are two different camps or opinions that folks will fall into on this topic. Arborists are going to tell you that any roots that you see protruding above the level of the soil are natural and normal and should actually be left alone. And that if you really care about the health of the tree, that's exactly what you'll do. And they'll take it so far as to say that, if you have pedestrians who are, walking underneath it and there's a trip hazard, create a mulch bed around it and expand that mulch bed as those roots continue to grow. Or some other type of feature that redirects pedestrians away from the base of the tree. So I completely agree with that approach for specimen trees. So if you have a granddaddy of a sycamore tree in the middle of a field and you start hacking at those roots, I think you'd be a little bit sad when you saw that tree starting to suffer as a result of that. But look around me. I've got tons of trees. Most of these are white pine, which are sort of junk trees. I'm not really trying to preserve anything here. So in my application, I'm taking a different approach. As I said, I've done it before and I have to do it periodically as these roots reemerge over time. So in my case, and for the folks who follow sort of my school of thought here, there are a couple of rules of thumb. The first is for every inch of thickness in the tree, and this is, let's just say it's 8 inches or so, okay? For each inch of thickness in the tree, you want to create a buffer zone of 6 inches outside of that base. So for every 1 inch in thickness of tree, you add 6 inches of buffer zone below. So that's about 4 feet for an 8-inch tree, okay? So right about where my foot is the closest you're gonna wanna get with any sort of cutting implement to the root system. Leave it alone if it's any closer than that. So that's a rule of thumb that I plan to follow in the course of doing this work here. The other thing I think is worth mentioning is that if you have a tree in the middle of a field and it has protruding roots 360 degrees all the way around it, and you take this buffer zone and you start hacking at everything that's outside of that zone, you're probably going to impact the health of that tree. And so I think it's important to kind of, project, the number of roots that are there and really minimize your alteration to no more than 5% of the roots that protrude from that tree. And I know that takes some speculation and some guesswork, but I think if you do more than that, you definitely run the risk of doing some serious injury to that tree. And it doesn't mean that in 1 or 2 more years you can't come back and take another 5%, but I just wouldn't do it all at once, right? Just kind of common sense. Okay, those are the tips that I wanted to talk about. Let's get into some of the tools. The first tool that I want to talk to you guys about is the lawn axe. It's about 3 feet long, and at the head you have 2 different cutting implements. So more of an axe shape on the right and then almost more like a hoe shape on the left. But each side is sharpened and can be resharpened, by the way, as they become dull. You are using this in dirt, so inherently this is going to need sharpening from time to time. So this is what I would call a young man's tool. All right, and let's see this in action. I'll set up a little tripod here. Okay, so we're gonna tackle this root right here, and what I'm going to do is sort of visualize where it continues. And I'm going to mark a spot right here for where I'm gonna start my cutting there, and I'll do the same on the other side. It's worth noting that we see everything horizontal, but there also could be at different intervals places where the root goes down. And so we'll have to discover that as we go. Okay, let's start cutting. Okay, that side is done. Okay, let's see if this is free now. Oh, lucky us, we got an easy one. Okay, that is the lawn axe. The next tool that we're going to be looking at is the reciprocating saw. And this is what I would describe as an old man's tool. Gets the job done really effectively and a little bit less backache, but a little bit more expensive as well. One of the other considerations here is you need to have power. So if you're taking care of roots close to a house, then you just need a long extension cord, as I have here, and you're good to go. And then you have an endless supply of energy. But if you're out doing some work on a camp or someplace where you don't have access to an outlet, then you can get cordless models of these as well. So I'm a Dewalt man when it comes to my cordless tools. I have probably 20 years worth of tools and I still have them all. They all still work. They're more contractor grade, so I'm a big advocate for Dewalt. And then with these reciprocating saws, you're going to be selecting different blades. They make different types of blades for different applications. This is just a cheap wood rated blade. There are also demo blades that work well that I've used in the past, and they have more of a carbide tip on each tooth, which tends to hold up longer. But you guys, whatever blade you're using in the dirt here, you're gonna ruin it. So don't spend a ton of money on your blades. This is a Dewalt basic blade. And I'll link this in the description so you guys can potentially order this for your root project. All right, let's see this in action. Okay, let's get out this first root. I've selected a larger one this time since we're working with a power tool. One thing that's great about these blades is that they have a nice pointed tip, so they can actually go right into the soil before you even start your cut. Nice. Do the same here. How do we make out on this one? So this one has a piece that goes down, and you just never know where these are going to show up. But this is a great way to demonstrate that this tool can be sort of poked in sideways and run laterally. So watch this. See it let go there? That's still connected. There we go. So you can see a very large root came out right there. And so having this power tool really allowed us to make short work of it. We would have had to work a lot longer on this with the lawn axe. Like I said, old man's tool. All right, you guys, thanks for watching.